Hello everyone. Today we're gonna talk about top 10 weird and unique musical instruments. Neuroscientists have discovered that playing a musical instrument stimulates more parts of your brain than virtually any other activity. This has the tremendous advantage of creating new connections between different parts of the brain, making you smarter and quicker to react to pretty much anything. Let's take a look at 10 weird and unique musical instruments, old and new, with which we've enchanted ourselves, and brought a bit of harmony into our lives. Number 10. The nose flute. Surprisingly enough, this particular instrument is found in many places around the world. It's predominantly found in the Eastern Hemisphere, in Polynesia and other Pacific Rim regions. Some similar variants can also be found in places like China, India, or Sub-Saharan Africa. It's made out of a single section of bamboo and has 2 or 3 finger holes. Even though it seems counterintuitive to play this instrument with the nose, this technique has the advantage of using the player's mouth as a variable resonance chamber, while air is exhaled through the nostrils. This way the nose flute is able to produce a rapid and smooth series of ascending or descending notes on the musical scale, instead of them being made in steps.
Diwa!
Number 9. The hang. More commonly known as a hang drum, this name is considered as a misnomer by its inventors. They say that the term is too limited for what it can actually do. Developed in 2000 by Felix Rohner and Sabine Scherer in Bern, Switzerland, the hang, as it is officially called, is the result of an in-depth and scientific research into the development of steel musical instruments. This culminated with the discovery of a new, hardened type of steel, as well as its UFO-like shape. This not only gave the instrument a softer tone, but kept it quite durable in the process. Its name comes from the Bernese German word for hand. The dimples going around its surface are specially hammered in to create the many psychedelic sounds it can produce. When played, it can sound like a harp, bells, or harmonically tuned steel pans. Number 8. The lion's roar. The friction drum or lion's roar is almost always used to accompany other, more harmonious musical instruments. Found in regions of Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America, this friction drum comes in many different shapes and sizes. It's also called by many different names. It's most often used for specific religious and ceremonial purposes, especially in Europe. Being a percussion instrument, the sound is produced inside a cylindrical box. This is often a jug, a pot, or a small wooden kit. A membrane, usually made out of leather, is stretched over the opening, and sound is produced either by rubbing it directly with the finger, or by using a wet stick or cord. Changing the pitch can be done by pressing in on the membrane itself. The wet cord, which in some places is made out of horsehair, is tied to a small stick at one end. Through a small hole in the middle of the membrane, it creates friction when pulled. In this case, the friction drum may also be known as the string drum or lion's roar. Number 7, the balalaika. The balalaika is a traditional Russian folk instrument. It has a close resemblance to many East Asian stringed instruments, like the damra and tanbura. The string instrument became more popular than ever, especially with the lower and middle classes in Russia. By the late 1800s, almost every household in Russia owned one. The history of the balalaika can be compared to the American banjo in this regard. The banjo was similarly used in music significant in Cultural Revolution. But while the balalaika was more of a symbol of unity, the banjo stood more for conflict between abolitionists and slavery supporters. The modern versions date to the 19th century and were developed by the famed Russian musician Vasily Andreev. They come in 5 different sizes, ranging from about 20 inches to about 5.8 feet.
Notes that I was doing.
Number 6. The glass harmonica. The glass harmonica is as rare as it is fragile. Designed and built by none other than Benjamin Franklin. French classical musician Thomas Bloch uses it on a regular basis, together with other musical oddities like the Ondes Martenot and Crystal Basket. Strauss, Beethoven, and Mozart all wrote works for the glass harmonica, and even the famous nu metal band Korn made use of it. The way it works is pretty straightforward. It's similar to a drunk uncle trying to make a glass of wine sing at your wedding by running his finger around the lip. But while he most likely ends up spilling his wine and breaking the glass, a skilled musician can actually make it work. The biggest difference, however, is that it's mechanized. A series of 37 different sized glass bowls are threaded onto an iron spindle, rotated by a foot pedal. The biggest advantage the glass harmonica has over its classical counterpart is that the bowls are positioned horizontally and the player can work it like a piano, playing up to 10 notes at a time. Number 5. The simendran. This percussion instrument is used only in monasteries belonging to the Christian Orthodox faith. It's essentially only found in countries in southeastern Europe. Its purpose is to summon monks to prayer, or at the start of every procession. Of fairly simple design, the simendran can date its origins to the 6th century, within the Byzantine Empire. The simendran can come in various shapes and sizes, and is used in a particular order. The most common variant is basically a plank of hardwood, suspended by 2 chains and struck with 1 or 2 wooden mallets. Though simple, the simendran is able to produce a strong resonance and a wide range of different intonations. These all depend on the thickness of where it is struck, and the force used. Number 4. The Jew's harp. Despite its name, this lamellophone has nothing to do with Jewish people. Other names for it are Jew's harp, Jew's harp, Ozark harp, trump, or gimbard. Most names are misnomers to the original misnomer. In fact, the word Jew used here is an old misspelling of the word jaw. Quite small, it consists of a flexible metal or bamboo tongue, attached to a frame. The player holds it to his mouth, which acts as a resonance cavity, and plucks the harp's tongue to produce sounds. The notes it can generate are limited, and it has only one pitch. The individual harmonics are regulated by the moving of the player's mouth. Its origins can more or less be traced to Asia and Oceania, and only finding its way into Europe sometime around the 14th century. Some consider it to be among the oldest instruments in the world. Number 3. The hydraulophone. The hydraulophone can only be played if you're willing to get your hands wet. Though it looks complicated, the system within is similar that of a woodwind instrument, like a saxophone, or bassoon. Here, however, sound is produced by pressurized hydraulic fluid. So rather than using air like a woodwind, it uses liquid to produce its music. Water is pumped into a curved tube with a series of holes through which it then spurts out. A sounding mechanism is placed above each hole. As the player places a finger over one hole, the water is directed past the associated sounding mechanism and diverted to another part of the instrument. Number 2. The Alphorn. Blowing tube instruments have been around for a very long time. In fact, one such example can be the Australian didgeridoo, which the Aborigines have been using for thousands of years. Another good example is the alphorn, which can only be described as a horn on steroids, measuring some 8 to 12 feet long. Used by mountain people living in Switzerland to communicate with each other over large distances, the alphorn is believed by some to have originated from the Roman lituus, a similar-looking instrument, used with a similar purpose. No documented connection exists, though, and many believe it to be a simple misinterpretation of the word litai, meaning alphorn in the Obwalden dialect. Its origins are still largely debated. Another possible connection could be with the busium, used in the Carpathian Mountains. Here, its use was as a means of communication between shepherds and their wives, or to signal potential military conflicts taking place in the valleys below. Number 1. The conch. Let's end on a literal high note. We'll finish with the conch in the number 1 spot, even though this list was written in no particular order. Archaeological finds date the use of this instrument as far back as the Upper Paleolithic, more than 12,000 years ago. Its use is spread throughout the world, wherever large gastropod shells are commonly found. It also goes by different names, and its uses were mostly ceremonial, or with various religious purposes. From South Asia to Mesoamerica, the Caribbean, and many Pacific region countries including Korea and Japan, all use the conch in different variations and sizes. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe for more.